Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I thought I would continue on the get to know you segment from yesterday and just give you a little bit of a spiel on my experience. So I started going to the gym when I was about somewhere between 13 and 15 years old, and I got into the gym to help improve my sporting ability and become a better sport player, stronger, more powerful, more injury resilient. Now, the first 5 odd years of my experience in the gym, I have no idea what I was doing. I actually can't remember what I was doing. I can't imagine it being very good, but I don't recall much of it at all. I don't know if my progress was good. I don't really recall any of it. I know I was training at the school gym and stuff like that most of the time, and I know I was enjoying it because I was always bugging the PE teachers to kind of let me in there, but what I was doing in there, couldn't tell you. It wasn't till, 5 years into my lifting journey, I actually got a proper coach and learnt proper technique, learnt proper progression methods, learnt not all stuff, but I started to learn some stuff on like how to get better at the movements. And I remember it was a strength and conditioning kind of gym. So, learning the big movements, learning some of the Olympic weightlifting movements. So clean and jerk, snatch, powerlifting movements like deadlifts, squats, bench presses, and just learning how to do them correctly and progress those over time. Now, as time goes on for me, I did like playing sport, but I think what I liked more than anything was just being okay at something, being recognized for doing something. Now that I can look back retrospectively, I really wanted to do well at something, and when I didn't do well, I was terribly upset. So I'd get really nervous before games, and then if I did one little mistake on the game, I would be distraught, like stupidly so. So I was I think more than anything, I just wanted to be good at something. And, what I learned over time is that in the gym, you can get better every day yourself. You can come in and practice and get better at whatever movement you're doing, get your technique better, get stronger, do more reps, do more weight, and keep progressing yourself that way. And I started to, not dislike sport, but kind of realize, there is that as well. I don't absolutely need to be good at sport. So, as time goes on, I sort of stop playing my sport and start playing, continue with the gym, and then sort of start to make the gym a career and try and get really good at coaching people as well and personal training. So stop playing my sport, continue working with people, continue trying to get really good at just, it sounds bizarre, but going to the gym because that's fun to get stronger and build muscle and do all that cool stuff. And, in that timeline, also, becoming a coach and a trainer and trying to get really good at that, learning how to help people, help them change behavior, help them how to learn how to do things in the gym and all that kind of stuff. And I suppose that leads, another noteworthy period of time is like the COVID era. I remember the COVID era, I was training all from home, and that was a pretty interesting and fun experience. I was trying to do all things, like my training methods were weights. I'd get up in the morning and do body weight stuff, burpees and interval training and stuff like that. I'd do weights, I'd go running, I'd row, all this kind of stuff. And that was way too much. That was overtrained. And then, which leads us into the last 4 years or so, where I've become very evidence-based and principle-based and trying to learn exactly what works and methods that work for me and my goals. And my current goals are surrounding muscle building and, ultimately the term you might use is bodybuilding. So just learning how that works best for me and, developing that method, and through experience and practice and more experience and practice, just keep figuring out what works, and then, potentially applying that to other people and then refining that and all that kind of stuff. So that gives you a little background on me and kind of what, the last 20 years looks like in a bit of a snapshot there. So there you go. There's a little spiel on me. So hopefully that, helps to let you know a little bit more about me. Now on to today's workout. Today is a push workout. We're having to get in early here. It is 10 to 4 in the morning, if you can see that. So 3:50. Today's a busy day. It's one of those days where I just don't have too much time, so I've got to get in beforehand. So good thing about that is the gym is empty, so I'll be able to smash everything out without having to wait for anything. Hopefully time works well. I might even have to split this workout up, do as much of it as I can before my first client, and then I've got to go back to back on a few things and then maybe come back and finish some of the isolation work later. But yeah, we got push, chest, this, you know, get this out here, up here, and we want it so big that it's kind of start suffocating your face. All right, see you at the bench press. Exercise number 1, the low incline cambered bar bench press. So again, the cambered bar has this kink in it. The kink allows for a larger stretch through the chest. And again, there are some things coming out recently as far as research goes surrounding the importance of training muscles in the lengthened position, right? So you think about the chest job is to do things such as bring your arm across the body, which is essentially what we're doing while we bench press. So in that instance, doing the opposite of its job will stretch it out more. So if it's going to bring my arm across because it attaches to my arm and pulls it across like this, pulls up towards the collarbone and stuff like that, we want to go the other way to stretch it out. Now, does the barbell bench press do this? This is a standard one? Yeah, absolutely. So even just touching the chest might get you a really decent stretch. This allows us for more stretch. So we can now go past the level of where the bar would touch our chest, deep stretch, and make it really hard in that stretch position. So I have been doing this one for a few months now, and it's also been in a rotation of mine for maybe 1 to 2 years now, and I really like it. So you could get a similar thing from something like a dumbbell bench press, whereas the dumbbells you could take outside the level of your chest, but the dumbbells have a little less stability for them. So I think this kind of beats that personally, and it just, yeah, it feels quite good to me. So if you do an incline bench press yourself, the technique is all the same. It's just, you know, you've got this little kick in the bar. So we take it out over the top of the chest, control, nice deep stretch. Get down to your chest or as low as you can with your flexibility and mobility. Think about stretching the chest on the way down, feeling the tension, and on the way up, pushing with the chest. So, yeah, since doing this, really like it. A good variation. Again, not every gym will have this kind of bar. It's probably rare, to be fair, but you can get things like through a good chest press machine or a good or some dumbbell bench press, get that big stretch, same concept. So I'll do 3 sets here, and I'm thinking about progressing weight because I've just kind of been stalled as far as my progress has gone on this one a little bit. So instead of trying to add a rep, I'm going to try and add a 2.5 kgs or something like that. All right, pretty hardcore here. No one else is here. It makes me feel pretty hardcore this early in the morning. So let's get it in. Low incline cambered bar bench press time. So not good for the ego this one because of that extra range and that extra stretch. The weight that you actually lift is reduced. So me already not being very strong at this movement,
I have to take the weight down even further from my standard bench press. Bit of a hit to the ego, but if you're willing not to lift with your ego, you might find that you get a cracker exercise for stimulating muscle growth because, again, of that massive stretch. So again, if that is your main goal, this can be a really good alternative to a standard bench press, Smith machine, all that kind of stuff, because of that big stretch. But yeah, just you're gonna have to check the ego and lift less than what you normally do. But again, for the sake of potentially, hopefully, more muscle growth. And it doesn't have to be a forever thing. You can use this as well as a standard bench press. So this can be lighter. Standard bench press, if you really love lifting heavy weights, can be the one you chase after your numbers with and enjoy from the strength perspective as well. Both are cool. I do 3 sets there, 2 pretty low, like under 10 reps. So I think I went 7 and 5, and then a lighter one there where I went 15. So I can increase the weight on that last week and next week, should I say. Whew, all right. Machine chest press next. Let's go. All right, we go from the low incline bench press to the standard chest press. This one's going horizontally. So when training the chest, because the chest has sort of multiple points that it goes to, so essentially it'll attach to the front of the arm here and it will come past your arm. Some of it kind of comes into the inner third of your collarbone or clavicle, some of it down the sternum, so down through here, so all these fibers are going across here, and some of it going down towards the rib cage and the abdominal area. So you think in that regard, for us potentially to train this muscle on the overall, we should do movements that kind of come up towards the clavicle, in towards the sternum, and then down towards the ribs or abdominal area to make sure we train all the fibers well. That may not be a massive concern, but I tick that box anyway, especially when I have good exercises for each one of those parts. Sometimes you might have used up all your decent exercises. So like today as an example, after this I'm doing a machine fly, which is another horizontal kind of movement. This is horizontal. So I don't have heaps of want to do too much more lower pec movement just for me, because I find that that area kind of is overdeveloped already. So the horizontal chest press, again, just like with the cambered bar, I'm going for a little bit extra stretch by using the yoga block. So I'll place that behind the shoulder blades, set my hand position, plant my feet, push out. So at the back, feel that open up, stretch out the chest, then drive with the chest going forward. So I think that small note about your chest and its job has value, because when you're doing this movement, if your goal is muscle growth, you're not simply thinking about pushing this out and pushing as much as you can. You're thinking about your arm pulling across the body, because that's actually the motion of the chest, or the job of the chest, should I say. So that's its action, to kind of pull your arm across its body in this one. So I'm not just pushing this out, I'm focusing, okay, pull my arm across the body so I can track the chest as much as possible. Because on this one, what you'll find as well is that the anterior delt's probably going to help you out, and the tricep certainly has to help you out to straighten your arm. So with that in mind, be thinking, yeah, pull the arm across towards the sternum, and this is just acting as a resistance. So it's coming across my body to best use that. And again, I've just got the handles as resistance. I'm not pushing them that way, I'm pulling my arm this way to best do that job. 2 sets here, taking all my sets now to 10 to 15. So I find if I do too much heavy resistance training for my pushing movements, my shoulder, from my heyday and sporting career, illustrious, I might add, someone described it as once, it gets a little bit unhappy. So if I do too much heavy pressing, like low reps, it doesn't really love me very much, and I might have to have a break from these kind of movements. So I just do a couple earlier, which is in that 5 to 10 range, and then most of my stuff after that is a little bit higher to take care of my shoulder. But you could do all of these movements heavier. It's just, for me, it's probably not worth it. I'll just have to take a break quicker than I normally would. All right, let's build up to our working set. Let's build them titties. thought I was crushing that there in the first set, and then fell in a heap. Couldn't quite get to, oh, it got equal to what I got last week, so that's still good. All right, horizontal chest press. Set your height of your seat up such that this is targeting the part of your chest that you want. So you could even lean back, shove your ass forward, make this a lower pec exercise, make it higher, kind of work into that upper pec as well. But for me, it's that kind of mostly that horizontal movement that I'm trying to train. So it's kind of handles a little bit above nipple level, coming together like this, pushing the arm across to contract the pectoralis major as much as possible. Triceps, shoulders all work there as well, but main focus is chest. All right, feeling good. We go machine fly next, and then the chest is done. Move on to some shoulders. Okay, capping off the chest work with the machine fly. So something to consider is how many pressing movements versus how many isolation movements you do. So that pressing movement, bench press at start pressing, chest press there pressing, so tricep, shoulder work together, and then just making sure I isolate the chest as much as possible on your own. Even then, in this one, your anterior delt probably want to get back on the act. Bicep can want to get in the act here, so combination of both pressing or pushing and isolation I feel to be worthwhile. I don't have any great evidence to support that. For me, that seems to have worked over time. So I've got a couple pressing exercises in times gone by. I've only done one pressing exercise, one isolation exercise. Now I like to kind of do a few more different movements just to make sure I'm kind of ticking all the boxes, is the expression that I use very often now, I'm realizing. So my setup for the machine fly is one that I set the seat moderately, but I'm actually going to grab the frame of the machine. So this is going to allow me to get into a slightly higher position and not kind of into that low chest area. So I grab the frame, slightly bend the elbow, and again, doing the main function, or one of the main functions of the chest here, which is horizontally abducting the arm, or adducting, I should say, A-D-D-U-C-T-O-R, adductor, or adducting. So bringing the shoulder towards, or your arm towards. So we've got this motion there. I've set myself low and handle a little bit high, so it's a little bit higher. I just like that kind of feel of things. I'll do 2 sets here and 10 to 20 reps both of these. So again, no more heavy stuff for me because of my precious shoulder. All right, let's build up to the working weight. 2 sets here. Machine fly done. So the astute observer there will notice that I changed my hand positioning from set 1 to set 2. Set 1 I had my hand up on the frame. Started to realize that doesn't really please my shoulder very much. So I came down to the handle. I think that's going to be better. Lowered the seat down, used the handle. Again, that might not have me coming up here as much as possible, but if it allows me, my shoulder to feel a bit more chill, I'll take that trade-off. Don't be afraid to kind of work on your technique or practice slightly new positions or whatever it might be to kind of feel what works best for you. If I give a suggestion and you go, oh, actually that doesn't feel so good for me, then obviously do another hand position, do another arm position. I think some common things that will be worthwhile for most people here: soft elbow, slight bend at the elbow. So that'll help just keep your bicep a little bit less tense. And then also going through as large a range as you can manage. So feeling that big stretch, just like all the other movements. That's gonna be pretty common. So my stretch versus your stretch is gonna be different. You just choose where your range ends and you get that big stretch, and that's as far as you set the machine. So if you go to a point where you feel joint pain, it's not really worth that. We're not going to a stretch excess of what your mobility allows, right? But soft elbow, as deep a stretch as you can feel without any joint pain. Feel that chest, and then again, shove your arm or pull your arm across the body to best focus on the chest. Okay, chest done diddly. Let's go shoulders next. All right, shoulders next, lateral deltoids. So we've got this lying incline cable lateral raise or something like that. I don't know exactly what you call it. So I've been using this the last 2 or 3 weeks. I like it. It is taking some tweaking to kind of find the correct position for me. So I have been tweaking and I'm still tweaking. Now that's something, just like I spoke about with the chest fly, something to keep in mind. You don't want, which I can do, this is a bit of a weakness of mine, the whole, paralysis by analysis. Keep tweaking things. I suppose when it comes down to it, one of the main things is that you're just trying hard enough or training hard enough. So if, like me, you can be the person who tweaks things, and never getting to that stage where you train hard or do enough of that hard training, then all the tweaking might be for nil. Because tweaking this exercise does not matter nearly as much as making sure you're just trying hard enough, going close to failure and doing enough of it. The tweaking is like the extra 1%, maybe even, it's not even worth 1%, it just perceivably feels better to you. So you have to train hard enough and you have to do enough of that hard training, otherwise the exercise tweaks that you make are not worth it. So just keep that in mind. It's good to tweak, I do it all the time, I'm constantly doing it, but again, that is a small percentage. The big deal is making sure, even with those tweaks and changing techniques, something, your effort is really high. So anyway, with all that said and done, we've got a incline bench, cable lateral raise. So I've found an incline that I feel is going to work best. I'm still kind of considering what cable height. I want my arm to be pulled down to the side of my body to best stretch out the lateral delt, so almost like being stretched through my body, not necessarily across my body like that, although both could be good over time, but that across the body could potentially, just help the rear delt get engaged. So trying to go through the body, but also finish at a place that is working my lateral delt really well. So set the bench inside the small cable machine here. So this is just from here to here. And incline bench, it's a second incline up from the bottom. Cable height right now, we've got the second notch from the bottom. So we have to go side to side. So I'll first need to grab one side with one hand, then gather the other side with the other hand, lay back, and then raising into that kind of position there. So although these variations can take a little bit more tweaking, you can sort of customize them, which can make them feel a little bit better for you. So that customizability, if that's a word, you can make suit you. If you use a machine, sometimes machines don't suit each person equally well. So we have to find the position for you. So these take fiddling, but they can be made to suit most people. Okay, feeling good. I think we're in around about the right spot. We're here for a while. 5 sets. Lateral delts, big focus for me at the moment. Here we go. Nice. So that is my, what are we calling this? Incline supine lying cable lateral raise. So some things to consider there. I mean, the positioning, yeah, I bang on about a little bit, but essentially 2 ways to kind of feel like you're doing it okay yourself. Number one, do you feel like the target muscle's been working, which is the lateral delt for me? Yes. Number two, over the course of time, if you move through some slightly different paths, dumbbells, upright rows like we've got later, if you've got a cable lateral raise, like a machine lateral raise machine at your gym, if you're doing variations over time, we can be pretty certain that we are doing all we can do. So like if my arm goes here versus here, not a big deal, but over the course of time, maybe I am changing that depending on the variation for that particular program. So don't get too caught up in the particulars as much as I do. Just go, yeah, do I feel it? Am I varying my arm path over time to make sure I develop my whole shoulder? We're cool. One thing here that I just popped up is that, you know, obviously one arm has to go over, one has to go under for this particular one. So I just switch them each time. Just a thing I do. All right, plate loaded shoulder press. All right, plate loaded shoulder press, 3 sets here, and that might have to cap the first part of the workout off because I have my first client upcoming. So with the plate loaded shoulder press, I think some key points to note are making sure the seat is high enough so we get a good range of motion. Again, range of motion to the level that your joints feel okay, not in excess of that. So for me, not very tall, so the seat gets shoved up to the top. And what you'll notice at the bottom is I get a pretty good range of motion. So right down into it again, we're thinking anterior delt now, so front part of the shoulder. So big stretch on the way down and then kind of punching your shoulder towards your head to make sure we're going anterior delt as much as possible. So for this, again, this is the anterior delt, kind of comes and attaches to the side part of your arm, your deltoid tuberosity, and then comes to the lateral part of your clavicle. And we're kind of pulling in that direction. So we're thinking drive your arm towards your head for anterior delt. When we want lateral delt, we're then going out towards the side as if we're missing the back of the head. And then rear delt is backwards like such. So I did pretty good on this one last week, so I'm going to add a couple of kgs per side. I do a high-ish rep range here, so 10 to 20 reps. I got up to 20 last week, so I add a couple kgs. Yeah, so always nice range of motion, big stretch at the bottom. Drive the arm towards the head as if you're pulling your arm towards your head versus just pressing the weight up. All right, let's get it. Plate loaded shoulder press in the bag, so good. Yeah, same idea, a little bit of weight increase. Felt really heavy from the beginning actually, probably because of those lateral raises, but the lateral delt is a high priority for me, and I think most people would probably be more inclined or would prefer the results of training the lateral deltoid more than the anterior, and that gets plenty of work through pressing, but this is just to cap it off. So again, you're thinking good stretch at the bottom, push the arm towards the head to use the front part of the shoulder. You get tricep, probably a little bit of the top part of your chest here as well, which is no one can be mad about. So that was 3 sets, 10 to 20 reps. So I think I went 15, 12, 10. Felt pretty good, feels good. I like it lighter on this one so I can focus on the muscle work and not just getting heavy and shoving the weight up. All right, that caps this part of the workout off. Let's train some people and I'll finish it off later. Time to start part 2 of the workout. So I finished that plate loaded shoulder press 3-ish hours ago, a bit over 3 hours ago. Had a couple hours worth of work to do, and now I'm back to finish 3 exercises of my isolation work. So number 1, we've got this lying cable skull crusher. So I set up a box like such. So this is like a step-up box or box jump box or something like that, right up against a cable machine, because the benches are a bit lower, it doesn't allow as good a range of motion. And then I'll sit right at the edge of this box, lay back, find the handle, and then we've got a tricep extension from here. So this may or may not be worthwhile in comparison to, say, something like a barbell skull crusher, easy bar skull crusher, dumbbell skull crusher, but it has felt really effective for me since I've started doing it. So I keep it in my regular tricep rotation. We go 5 sets here. Hit a personal record on this one last week, so we're going up in weight for this week. Let's get it. That is the lying cable skull crusher. So it takes a bit of setup, this one. Getting a box that's high enough so we can go through a good range of motion, being far enough away from the thing, all these kinds of things. But for me, I feel a really good stimulus. So like after doing this, like I feel my triceps are pumped. So I'm getting some feedback that says to me, this is a worthwhile exercise. So I continue to do it. Once you get the setup once, you know, it might take you a couple of weeks to figure it out, but once you get it, then you just note down what you've done, come back and it becomes easier each time. If it's worth it, if it's worth it. If it's worth it, it's worth it. If it's not, stop doing it. Just do a standard bar, dumbbells, all of the above. All right, a couple more exercises to go. Might do it as a superset, maybe not. See how we're looking. Here is one of my abominations of exercises. It is a tricep pushdown variation that happens in the functional trainer or small cable machine. So we've got this bar that connects side to side. So one clips onto this side, one clips onto this side. Now, what this does is it means there's a big gap of space here. So when I go to do my push down, nothing's going to run into me. Like if you do this with a cable, standard cable machine with one cable, you can't do it because it's going to run into you. This way, I can do a push down version where I make the resistance high going back that way. So when I start, it's quite hard versus a standard push down, which might be something like that, which is it's resisting you straight up. So really until you start going down, is it not hard? So I can set this at a height, which I've figured out for me. Makes it hard at the beginning. I do it seated because I'm lazy. I like being seated and having stability so I can just focus on smashing it out. And then we're in that kind of position there. So all your other cues apply here. We've got nice deep flexion of the elbow, straightening, focusing on the tricep. And that's that. So benefit here, rationale behind doing this one is I can set the height such that it's made hard at the beginning because I can put the resistance right back here versus it coming down here, which wouldn't get hard till I start coming down like this. So I like it. Again, I don't normally like a standard push down, but I like this one. So for me, it's a yes. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done this here. So I'll probably go back to the same weight I did that couple of weeks ago. 2 sets only, 10 to 20 reps per set, just capping off the triceps. Tricep push down variation. So again, another one where it's definitely peculiar looking. Look, I've never seen this one done before, but I have a rationale for doing it. I have a reason. I then do it myself and I figure out if it's worth doing or not. This one, it's in the do it pile. There's many exercises that I've tried and thought, oh yeah, that will work, but it didn't work. So you scratch it. But this one, yeah, making it hard in that position, I find to be very effective compared to like a standard push down. I much prefer something like this. Just takes a bit of setup to get into position. All right, we are almost there. Upright rows to finish. Capping the workout off with an upright wall. So I'm up against a wall or a mirror here. I'm going to take a bar, just outside shoulder width, leaning on the wall to keep my stability and keep me stable and stop me from cheating. Raise elbows up and outside into that position there. So I like to bring it slightly out in front when I do an upright row, having my arm aim about 45 degrees from my body, not directly out the side, not in here. But again, you do what feels good for you. I have been doing here a cable upright row where I was lying in front of the cable and pulling essentially in towards me while lying down. It's okay, I just never really got a good feel for it. So since adding this one in, I quite like this one. support from the wall, make sure my technique stays sound and I can't use any body momentum or anything like that, and it's felt effective. So 2 sets here, trying to get up towards about 20 reps on the first set, so a bit of a high rep range. All right, let's get it. Sweet. So that's the upright row, supported by a wall or a bench, something like this, to keep stability and stop me from cheating. So I would traditionally say upright row is not my favorite shoulder exercise, but that feels really good. That could be due to the other shoulder stuff that I've already done, but nonetheless, it's a good little finisher for me on this day. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, I suppose one of the downsides is potentially that the resistance is going straight down and our lateral delt and things like that are pushing out. Maybe that's an issue, but I've got enough stuff that this, just to cap things off, is pretty good, and I'm happy with that. So happy days. All finished. Let's get out of here. All right, that's a wrap on the workout, guys. So split into 2 parts, that one, just due to necessity. So got up really early this morning, so I had to get up at 3:30 to get some of that workout in. And some people might say, oh, like, that's a bit excessive, you know, it's probably not worth it or whatever it might be. But I remember an old colleague of mine used to say, he probably stole this expression knowing this person. So he used to say, scale your expectation to your commitment level. So for me, I have really high expectations. Like, I want to get everything I can from myself. And so that takes that you know, next level commitment in my mind. And, you know, I actually didn't find it so bad getting up early this morning. It means I had to get into bed early. It means I couldn't do some of the other things that I would normally do. So that might not always be a possibility for everybody. Like, people have different commitment levels outside of the gym and whatnot. But yeah, for me, my expectation is really high. Like, I want to accomplish everything I can physically in the gym and that kind of thing. So my commitment, I think, has to be higher than most, you know what I mean? I want results better than most people, I think. So that's that. Like, if I were to miss part of this workout today, would my life be over? Would my results all be down the toilet? No, but that's the commitment level. I just want to practice all the time. So if I practice it in this area, I'll practice it in other areas and all that kind of stuff. So that's that. But yeah, all in all, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard early in the morning, isn't it? Like, my performance was okay, you know, so hopefully doesn't have to be a regular thing, or if it is a regular thing, I'll have to get used to getting up that early, having breakfast quickly and all these other things. So anyway, happy days. Now, tomorrow is going to be an interesting one because I'm not sure if my quads will recover in time from the hack squat drop set from the other day. So fingers crossed we have some recovery miracles overnight. And, you know, as always, guys, if you like the content, you know, do all the comment, liking, subscribing. So hit this button up here with my little photo for a subscription. If you like the way these workouts are, you want to see how I train other muscle groups, click the playlist up here and that'll take you through all my other workouts. And as always, it's all about progress over perfection. Coach Dan signing off.